We might get some, depending on how bloody his hands are, maybe we'll end off with some music, or he'll certainly want to have this conversation with Morgan as well. But again, Entropy, Odyssey, Rumble, I love all you guys. Say hello. Please hit the like buttons and send the old shares out to your friends. If you have somebody out there, specifically in Atlantic Canada or Eastern Canada, who might be interested in this little world, give them a little nudge. Let them know we're here, and we're building communities as we can and finding friends as we can. So if you do know friends out there, specifically in our little corner, for sure, let them know the podcast. Find your friends PEI Telegram channel, and everywhere else that you might be able to find us. faithandliberty.ca is also a good location to get that information. Plaid Patre, I hope the pigs are delicious, and I hope we all get a taste. Just giggling. Are you ready? I'm so happy that you're ready. That was so painful for me. So I'm throwing you in here any second. Are you ready? I'm doing it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Awkward silences.
Thank you for being here. This is I'm so happy. I just had an interesting hour at Morgan trying to Chris. I don't know if you were hearing any of that, but Chris is butchering some pigs right now, so he couldn't join me for this episode. And I was like, I'm not canceling. We can't cancel it. We have a wonderful guest, so I just had to ramble on for an hour by myself. And who knows what
That's
I just
the
said?
worst, eh? The other day I was supposed to go on Jason Levine's podcast with Paul Westhaver, and then I was sitting there like, where's Paul? I was really hoping he would do all the talking. But he was sick. Thankfully Donald Best covered for him, so it all worked out.
That's good.
But
And you are doing more. That's a good place to start, actually. There's so many places that we could start, but seeing you brought up the old podcast here that you're doing, you are doing quite a few of these podcasts with Jason Levine here lately, and it is a big focus on unity, and that's a big thing about you anyway, Morgan. I know you're all about unity and community, and this podcast that Jason is doing is really like a capturing of Canada, really, the community and what people are doing, and like a cross Canada check. Am I right? Is that sort of what this is that you're doing?
I think the internet would disagree. Like I'm all about dividing.
Oh, true.
I am
Yeah.
that's my main purpose, is to divide and conquer. And
Yes, the internet knows all, Morgan. The internet
Allegedly.
knows all. Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? It's a tough time of the year for a lot of people, and the more events you can do in person, I think, especially this time of year, I would recommend it, because a lot of people are struggling mentally, financially. So I do think it's key. I will always promote in-person gatherings.
Mm-hmm. I know that about you, and I hate that people actually say that about you, Morgan, that you're all about division. You speak your mind when there's your gut feelings. There's no doubt about that, and we all do, and we have to do that. We have to keep each other in check and stuff like that. But I know that you are all about unity and community, and you spread events like wildfire. You're an activist yourself. You're involved with how many groups across Canada? All of them? In some degree, to some degree. No, but you know what I mean, right? So
a few.
A few, right? I don't even know where you get the time to do what you do, and I hate that people attack you in that way. It's just, but what else is new, really? What else is new?
No, and it's inevitable, and I hope it never discourages anyone who starts to gain momentum. As soon as you do, you'll be called out, and people will share straight up lies and also try to propel themselves with hello. Jeremy's off to the gym. And unfortunately, what I'm finding is that a lot of people who haven't been able to achieve momentum on their own platforms, they tend to go after people who do. And then that's the most attention that they'll ever receive. And so then they continue to do that, which is not very productive.
No, it's not. And that's always the problem too. Trying to find the unity between the groups when sometimes there's just not unity to be found, and then it's still the divide and conquer mentality, right? And not everybody doesn't have to get along, but why attack each other? I guess I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, but either way,
I think conversation is a start. And a lot of people seem to struggle with that, and it's not easy. And anyone who's dealt with trauma, can maybe have a hard time conversing properly without letting their emotions get in the way, and or maybe they don't want to be put on the spot. I'm always open to having a conversation with someone too, without, like, I don't necessarily record all my conversations. I probably should. But I don't want anyone to ever feel like a private conversation could be used against them in the future either. So, like, there's a fine line there.
yeah, but still protecting yourself, especially with all the challenges, let's say, that you faced over the last couple years, for sure. It's important that you protect yourself through everything, and you face a lot more than most people have who speak the truth through everything. Really, the attack from the system that you've faced is pretty remarkable. And to back it up, it was like a year and a half ago now that you were last here, which is crazy. It's like March of,
Wow.
I know, it's crazy. And back then you were just telling, it was just after the convoy, you told us your origin story, and how ivermectin was a big part of your journey, and the convoy, and the community that you found there. But after that, you really got attacked by our system, through the legal system specifically. And can you share with our audience some of that challenge that you actually went through with the gas pains, for example? Let's tell those who may not have heard what happened there. And we're in a good spot now, but it was a horrible experience, I know, for you. And
I don't think that's a good word. It was it's all been very interesting, and I honestly think that it's meant to be. Every time something like this happens, I usually ask the universe, what am I supposed to learn from this or expose from this? Or so in that case, at that time, I was a huge pain in the ass, in the government's ass. I was constantly, all over their social media, very critical of their rhetoric, and also maybe digging a little too deep. I had some Halifax Regional Police whistleblowers sharing information with me that I was turning around and pumping out on Twitter, and I think that they didn't know what to do. They had advised me that a lot of their resources were being taken up attending protests, which I assured them I didn't feel they needed to attend. They were peaceful. At that time, like in Halifax, Antifa wasn't really a concern of ours, or something certainly that our group couldn't handle. But it got to the point where I think they were just like, and I mean, we have thankfully Paul Westhaver has dug into some FOI pops and found conversations between the Premier and Department of Justice head of security, where he was requesting for them to find an opportune time to arrest Jeremy and I. And so, the gas theft trial lasted 30 seconds. There was no evidence. And the evidence that I did see was not, I mean, like the description of the vehicle was incorrect. Like I wasn't, it was all just a terrible case to begin with, and that's why I self-represented. I wasn't too worried about it.
It's
My
awesome.
trial for hosting rallies, that same 30 seconds, we have the Crown has no evidence. So now we just have the remaining case for our peaceful protest at the Chief Medical Health Officer's home. It was the second protest of its kind, and so given how it went the first time around, I didn't I didn't see where it could escalate, and I was recording the entire experience, and especially any interactions with the police,
Mhm.
just in case, and doing everything that they asked us to do. At no time were we told that anything that we were doing was illegal. And so now we're just going through we've filed an abusive process motion, and our last day in court was fun. I wish I could just take in a bag of popcorn with me while Sharif tears apart the Crown, and the RCMP admitted that they recently learned of an error when they were filling out the paperwork to detain Jeremy's phones. There's a
Oh.
little box where if you plan to detain it for an extended period of time, that box needs to be checked off, and it's not. And since they've
Mhm.
learned of this error, there's been no remedial action taken. They still have not given back the phones, and so we feel at this point that the RCMP, or is it HRP? I think Halifax released Jeremy's personal property, and that's a charter violation. So we have some charter violations we're dealing with, abusive process, caught the Crown. The Crown, the DOJ, the RCMP, they're all clearly colluding against us. It's quite evident. So I don't know what to expect. We go back to court at the end of January for the abusive process motion, and it'll be
How
interesting.
much Yeah, interesting is one word there, Morgan. How much time have you actually been been in court over the last year, for example? How much time have
Oof.
you been dealing with court crap over the last
Yeah.
year? A
I
lot?
have no idea. It takes up a lot of time, and
Yeah.
of course I miss out on work, and
Mhm.
um thankfully, again, I'm self-representing, so I can kind of piggyback off of Jeremy's lawyer, Sharif Foda, which has been a huge help. But so is, I mean, the cost is just, yeah, my missed work. But yeah, time-wise, the administrative days in court, they really add up.
Mm.
Yeah.
And for those who aren't aware, who happen to not really know the full details, the gas pains that I refer to, you were accused of theft of gas from a certain gas station and you were arrested and held for how long because of
Yeah,
this?
4 days in solitary.
4 days in solitary for the accusing of a gas theft.
And
And
yeah,
then a year later. Go
at
ahead.
no point was I given an option to even, I mean, I would have rather pay someone else's $69 worth of gas than to pay Stan McDonald 5 grand and plus yeah, to get out of jail, and I missed my grandfather's funeral. It was during Hurricane Fiona, so the phones were down, there were no lights on in my cell, it was just nobody knew where I was. So that part of it, I felt more bad for everyone who was trying to figure out where I was even
Of
being
course you did.
detained.
Of course you did. You feel bad for everybody else instead of you being stuck in solitary. Oh, Morgan. But that infuriates me that you had to go through that level of what is it, prosecution, deal with it for a year, and then they say, "Oh, well, nothing," basically,
Yeah.
with your
Yeah,
5-minute
and
trial.
I'm not
That
sure
is
if I
infuriating.
can. Yeah, if there's any, like if I could do take it to civil court. I'm not sure what my next plan of action is, but I would like to see someone held accountable for, as far as I'm aware, again, via FOIPOPs, I'm the only resident of Nova Scotia who has ever been arrested for potentially forgetting to pay for gas, which wasn't even the case. and and this all escalated because the police were trying to reach me via I think phone calls and emails. I think they had my wrong phone number, but they did reach out via email. I said, I have no problem surrendering myself to be arrested if you can give me a file number. I didn't believe, like, I just couldn't believe that's why they were trying to get me to come in. And I had called dispatch and criminal court, civil court. Nobody was aware of a charge against me for theft under 5,000. So I said, if you have evidence, you must have a file number. And the police just told me, that's not how this is going to work. We need you to come in. And at that point, I did let them know that I didn't believe them. And until they could provide me with a file number, I most certainly was not going to surrender myself.
That's crazy, Morgan. I can't believe you had to go through that. And we all know it was a character assassination. That's all this was. They were just, and let alone whatever else attached to it.
Yeah, it gave the mainstream media an opportunity to, make me look like a thief. And in the news, I'm sure that affected my ability to get work. I mean, if I Googled someone and it looked like they were potentially a thief, I probably would not hire them.
No, probably not. And that's why they do it, I guess. Let alone putting fear in everybody else, or maybe just trying to infuriate Jeremy, or who knows what the actual thoughts were in all of that. But 4 days being locked away with nobody even knowing where the hell you are, that's crazy. Only to find out a year later that, no, 5 minutes of court, no, we'll just forget about that.
Oh, I have a little tip if that ever happens to anyone. So you can't call, from what I'm understanding, you can't call the jail and, I can't say, is Stephen Harris locked up, or, but I can ask, is Stephen Harris okay? And then you'll get a yes or no. And if they say yes, then obviously, we know where you are.
Wow, that's a great tip. See, you need to write a little book of tips of jail tips.
I know, right? I wasn't sure how long I would be in. The second time around, I was worried that they would deny me bail, just given what Tamara Leach and Pat King were going through, and I was like, oh, this is it. They're gonna keep me this time. So there was a woman in the cell next to me, and I grilled her, about, she'd been in and out of jail her whole life. And so I took quite a few notes on what to expect should I make it to general population. Thankfully, I did not. They did try to convince me to take the PCR test so that I could go into general population. And I was just like, no, I'm good. And also, like, I'm not a criminal. I'd rather spend time alone in this lovely mouse infested cell. Thank you.
The stuff that you've had to go through, it's just crazy. But before we continue, I guess we'll let our special guest join us now. And everyone, we should welcome our second special guest of the evening, Mr. Chris Burke. Hi, buddy.
What a day. What a day. It takes a lot longer to butcher a pig than you might think. Or
No
two
doubt.
pigs.
I've never done it. I've only deer.
Things that I never thought I would do. And here we are, living in a dystopic world where I don't trust the bacon from a grocery store.
That's fair.
It's good to see you. And cheers to you, Chris. It's good to see you, my
Cheers,
friend. We'll
sir,
chat
cheers.
Lots about the old pig stuff a little later, no doubt.
Yeah.
You were hearing, I'm sure, a little journey with our good friend Morgan and some of the past with her convictions and the attack from our wonderful system that we have protecting us all from the dangerous terrorists that are out there. but it's all about because of what you do in your lifestyle. Obviously, Morgan, how much you do for the community, how much you do focus on the problems with our system and our police forces, and because of what you do, I guess you must be effective in what you do to have the target on your back that you have.
Yeah, it appears that that's more important than making sure that pedophiles get through the court process in due time. And I think we've had 2 instances in Nova Scotia at least where Jordan law applied and potential pedophiles walk free.
Wait, now, because
That's
there wasn't
insane.
enough time for the
Right. So in most
Jordan Law's what, 18 months?
So 18 months for most criminal charges, and I think if it's a little more serious, like murder, conspiracy to commit murder, is there a 30-month threshold?
I'm gonna lose my mind.
We took too long to process this pedophile, and so far we're going to let this pedophile back out on the streets because we were dragging our feet. I love this country.
That's the charter.
I need a second.
Good God.
Yeah,
Harris
but
is a
right-
redacted
This just
button.
happened in Nova. Are you saying this just happened in Nova Scotia? This.
I want to find the case.
Oh my-
I
are
think
you-
I know at least once, if not twice.
Yeah.
Hair's gonna
Yeah.
pop.
Yeah,
Hair's
yeah.
gonna
There was actually. It'll be interesting to see what happens too, because there was just it was just announced today that there was a priest who was charged with something along that same lines here on the island, and so I'm really intrigued to see kind of where they go with it, whether or not there's any kind of an actual. I mean, they just don't seem to care when it comes to actual crimes that harm actual people. He'll probably get a slap on the wrist, I would imagine. But this is just what it is. And I mean, like you said, like you're over the mark when they're coming at you. Like this is like when things are super, super quiet in my life. That's what I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm missing, like I'm not hitting something here. Like there's something I'm missing. And then like, it's literally like the moment you hit whatever the topic is of that moment that, the powers that be don't necessarily want you talking about. All of a sudden, that's when the character assassination. We're seeing it now, even with. I mean, not that I don't care at all about celebrities, but as soon as one of them either doesn't speak out about something or says something, all of a sudden the next day here we've got sexual assault allegations and all this sort of stuff, and it's just ridiculous. It's insane, and I mean it's like we see it. I find we see it. Every few months, with when it comes to just that like online attack that seems to be coming from like every which way. Like it's not constant. I find like there are little lulls in it, whether it's a lull because like somebody hasn't gotten paid to be, to attack online or what, I have no idea. That's probably is what it is. But, you can kind of feel the lulls and, all of a sudden, we're just, like I think about our show, for example, like we've been talking about homesteading for the last 6 months. We've had on homesteaders, we've had on people talking about building houses and raising families. And it's like, they don't necessarily care, like they don't like that stuff, but we're not pushing the bar to the point where they're going to attack us. And I'm not even kidding. We have you on tonight. I was getting DMs from different people all day, getting attacked for this, that, and the other thing. And I was just like, you sons of bitches. This is just have Morgan on, get attacked. Have Jeremy on, get attacked. Mm-hmm. Chop up a pig. Nobody gives a shit. Personally, I think it's way cooler to chop up a pig.
It is.
Breaking me out of that. I can't stop thinking about these people, this situation in Nova Scotia right now that they spend all this time and send supposed theft people to jail in a hole for 4 days and letting these. Okay.
And what a waste of resources and taxpayer dollars. That's the most disgusting part of it when I sit there and listen. Like, I mean, that one day we were arguing over Jeremy's cell phone charter violation. That took from 9:30 in the morning until 4:30 at night. And, during that time, you have to pay judge, there was some other staff, the two police officers, the two crown attorneys. Like,
It's
for
ridiculous.
what do we do? If I was the judge, I was shocked the judge was unfortunately quite lenient with the crown. I would just say, do you have an order to detain? No. Okay, give it back. It's what are you doing?
Right?
But yeah, she decided
You're too
to come back
logical.
with the decision at a later date.
That's crazy. And you said January is your next trial?
Perhaps. I mean, so their argument too. What's that? Sorry.
January is your next. That
I don't know if we have
Can
a
you hear me?
lag.
I think you heard things.
Yeah, end of January. Oh. Yeah, we go back, I think it's January 30th. And yeah, I mean it's just ridiculous. At one point Sharif was like, "Well, why did you give Morgan her cell phone back but not Jeremy?" And the cop was like, "Oh, Jeremy never asked for his back." Oh, well, here's actually the conversation you had with Jeremy where he was asked. Oh, yeah, he forgot about that. And in hindsight, he felt maybe he should have held on to my cell phone. But what he didn't say on the stand was that the only reason he gave me back my cell phone was because that was around the time he was trying to get me to surrender myself in regards to the gas theft. And so he said, "Oh, your cell phone's ready to be picked up." And I'm thinking, you're just trying to get me to come in.
You're
And
trying to
so
get me.
Oh, man. Oh,
I sent-
man.
I sent my roommate to pick up my phone.
That's smart. See, you got a brain.
They're
That's
pretty.
for sure.
They're pretty smart.
You faced weird things in your home with some surveillance type
So
activity
ridiculous.
as well. Am I right in saying? Am I even allowed to say that? But you have noticed people snooping, let's say, and surveillance. Is that accurate? I think we got to.
Oh, sorry. I think it skipped at one part. Yeah. Sorry. Surveillance in what aspect?
Well, in the home, is that accurate? You've have people on camera like looking in your windows, and didn't you?
Yeah,
have a cop
I
doing it?
posted a video of Constable Pierre Paul Cadieux had used his personal cell phone to take a photo through my backdoor window. I guess he didn't notice, my surveillance cameras. And I had filed a complaint to the professional standards branch, to which they made excuses. And there's never any action. I did go to the RCMP, and they were quite disturbed by the video, and they said that they would investigate it. It's just one of those battles I honestly haven't had time to fight.
There's so many.
That's so sad to hear, actually, that there's so much lawfare happening against you or in your world that you can't even get to an actual violation against you, let alone all the violations against you. Oh, it's pretty infuriating, Morgan. It's pretty
I
magical.
have complaints to file against judge. Yeah, no, I was just saying I have complaints to file. I need like a staff at this point to keep up with all of it.
It's crazy. I don't know where you get the energy to keep on going, really, but I guess it's all the friends you met along the way and the help that you get from the community that keeps you going. That's all that keeps all of us going, really. But speaking of
and
which,
I mean, at the end of the day, that like this
Right,
is
and
exactly
for-
what they're trying. There's such a
if
delay
I'm-
right now. I think there's such a huge delay somewhere. I don't know where.
That's my internet probably.
Oh, okay. But just talking about like they don't care about the whatever the charge is. They don't care about the case. All they care about is let's drag you through this for as long as possible. The things that both you and Jeremy have been up against over the last couple of years. Like these are things that are typically dealt with like the weekend that someone's arrested, and then you never hear from it again. And yet here we are, years. Like this is stuff that you're going to be dealing with for years to come, because first you got to deal with, the cases that are happening. Then hopefully, if they let you, because hey, this is just the way that our justice system is, if they let you, then you can pursue kind of some potential of, like, whether it's character assassination or suing people who have done this, whatever. Like, it's absolutely disgusting. I don't think people realize just how corrupt the justice system is here, and I suspect it's probably the same in the States too. Any of the Western countries, really, because this is what we've seen them dedicate their time to for the last number of years. We saw it with the January 6th guys, like, just years dragged out for months and months and months and months, just to try and bankrupt people and to assassinate people's characters as much as they can.
Yeah, no, they definitely abuse the process, and that's why I think it's so important that people do these abusive process motions and try to make sure that it doesn't happen to anyone else. Yeah, when there's just the conduct of the crown and the judge is enough for me to think, like, how many people are being screwed over by
Yeah.
incompetent judges and just people who are in positions that they have no business being in.
What a mess. What a mess. And all for just speaking the truth and some activism. How do we get to this point where we're the enemy when we're just really just trying to protect the country and our way of life? It's amazing that the apparatus, the surveillance state and the police state that was built to protect the country has all been turned onto us. That's what's really scary in the end,
Well,
Yeah,
when we start exposing them and threatening their livelihoods, and yeah, so it's a real battle of the wills at this point.
Yeah. I guess we did it to ourselves, or they created us, and we went with it. Basically, that's what we got to do.
Yeah.
But in Nova Scotia, Morgan, you're quite active in like you said, you think getting together locally in person is very important. And I know that one of your duties or one of your loves or one of the things that you do is constantly sharing events and promoting the events that are going on. Do you take part in a lot of those events as much as you can to get and see people in the time that you have outside of courtrooms? Yourself? You try to get there as well, eh?
Oh, absolutely. And it is difficult for me, especially because of my work, but I do make an effort. I start to personally go crazy without the human connection, not even human connection. I mean, like, a real conversations. So, our mall meetups I just love everyone who attends, and it's a good core group of people. I sincerely care about each and every one of them. They bring so much to the table, and so yeah, if too much time elapses where I don't get to see them, I just feel like I lose that connection, and mentally takes a toll for sure.
Very much the same way. And there's a lot of activism that happens. I know in the summer specifically, you guys are doing events all the time, speaking events, and you kind of travel around Nova Scotia to do that. I know I went to one of your events. That might have been 2 years ago now. I have no idea. I think it was probably not last summer, but the summer before. And you were just in a random location, not just the Halifax area. You try to spread your areas away, and that's a good thing too. Do you think that there is a big community in Nova Scotia right now of freedom fighters, if you will, that are unified?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of groups, a lot of little groups in Nova Scotia, but is there a unified effort as well, do you think?
I think so. There's definitely different groups that are, interested. You have your homesteaders, and you have people who are more political. You have people who just want to go out and hold signs, or people who would prefer to be behind the scenes or just donate, or they can't, they don't want their face out there. Totally understand in this climate. I think it's very spread out. There are certainly more in the small towns. So yeah, that's kind of why I was traveling around, just to meet everyone, see what everyone was up to, and yeah, just connect with more people, because it's such a big province and we're so spread out.
Yeah, that's the challenge. And the region as well. We keep on talking about Atlantic Canada as a region, and we could probably be uniting as a region even more, because we are a small population, but it is spread out as well. So it's hard
spread
to
out. Yeah.
it's hard to do. And we have the challenge of the old stupid bridge that we got to pay every time to get off this stupid island. You know, that's that's pretty dumb, but
Okay.
it's worth it.
And you don't get a break, eh? If you're an islander, there's no. Yeah. Like
No,
$40,
different
$50.
people pretty well, like every time that there's an election, the topic of like, should we do like a islander discount, it always comes up. Just it's no different than like how the topic of clean water comes up during the federal elections with the Liberals. And so it's, an election will come, they'll talk about, maybe we'll get a discount or maybe we'll get it free and all this sort of stuff, and then the election comes and the price goes up.
Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting because the I know a lot of the ferry systems offer that, like a half price for islanders or what have you. Yeah.
They
Not
should.
here.
Especially where we don't have like all the services we need. In like a lot of people have to go to Halifax for hospital care in some ways,
Yeah.
or to Costco. You got to get out. There's no Costco here, so there's just don't have the same amenities. So you kind of do have to leave the island for a lot of purposes. But I guess part of it is to try and keep people not leaving the island and spending their money on the island instead of,
Could be, yeah.
that could be part of it. Who knows? But that's just a beef that we all have. It's just it's kind of stupid that we live here and we got to pay to get off the stupid place. But that's why we call it Alcatraz in a lot of ways. Well, it's not why we call it, but it's part of why we call it.
One of many reasons.
I'm sure it certainly felt that way during, COVID, and if you were unvaccinated or what, I don't know. I can't even remember all the rules, but I mean, at least in Nova Scotia, there was kind of a back road way, but unless you have a boat.
Not unless you had a boat here. Yeah, it's
We were lost.
it was so funny. I still remember the first time that I because I mean the reality is, for people who are from PEI, like a lot of them don't actually leave anyway. So the idea of like, oh, you're not allowed to leave the island, that was kind of foreign for a lot of people. And I still remember the first time. I had this guy. He was probably, I mean, I'm a big guy, but this guy had, he probably had 50 or 60 pounds on me, I would say. And he's like nose to nose with me. He's probably 15 or 20 years older than me too. So I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with this old man, basically? But he's like, it was at a protest, and people with all their signs, and he's, what are you guys? What are you talking about? You're not free. And I very calmly said to this guy who was frothing at the mouth, like, I said, I'm not allowed to leave the island. And instead of like, wanting to kind of, ponder like, oh, that's kind of weird, I don't think that's right, the response was, why would you ever want to leave the island? I was just like, dude, I get it that you were born here and that you've probably never left, but some of us have like family on the mainland, or we just want to go to the mainland. But like, and so, but I mean, even when you say that to him, like the response was just basically like, yeah, well, yeah. Like, oh, good job, bud. You fought that one well.
I really thought you were gonna say that he had mentioned that it was, you made a choice or something. I don't know.
You chose to be locked up forever.
You got to face the consequences of your choices.
Yes.
How many times did I
Yeah.
hear that? Morgan, speaking of groups that you support and of the many groups, one of the things that I noticed from you over, say, the last year in the political realm is you seem to have taken a turn to promoting independence as an option in the political realm. You believe in the independent world. How did this change, and do you still have that same belief right now? If we are in the political realm, it should be more of an independent mindset, a group of independents, let's say. How did you get into that mindset, and are you still?
Yeah. Paul Westhaver has radicalized me, and I'm now an accelerationist. And yeah, and I am toying with the idea of running as an independent. I understand why so many people are excited about this movement, and you can see that it's exactly what the party system does not want. There's so much red tape. I mean, the problem with the party system is that if you, as an MLA MP or what have you, if you don't toe the party line, you're out. And we saw that during COVID and over the past couple of years, especially, that politicians were being kicked out of their party. So, I mean, if you're an independent and you were to get voted in, you get to say whatever you want, which I love. And now, obviously you don't want just any old independent to get in, and certainly what I like about the movement in Nova Scotia is that the independents who are interested in running are fairly extensively vetted, and former professionals and Paul Westhaver and Peter McIsaac have taken quite a bit of time to travel around the province, interview these people, get to know them better. And I don't know, I just feel like this would be a really great way for us to have our say. Now, one thing I see people commenting about vote splitting quite a bit, or taking, I mean, we don't really hide the fact that we do want to steal votes from the Conservative Party, from Liberal Light. I don't, to the point where in the next election, it could, I suppose there is a chance, and we know there is a potential that the Liberals would get back in power, and we're actually, I don't know how to say this, more okay with that than the Conservatives getting in power, because it will accelerate the inevitable. Whether you have Liberals or Liberal Light, it's all crumbling. They essentially have the same platform. It's not really conservative at all anymore.
No.
So this might take, what did Paul said the other day? He expects this movement to take at least 8 years. But you have to start somewhere.
And this is a federal focus, not so much a provincial focus. Or is this independent movement focused on all the political levels at this point? That should we target? For you, it's federal, isn't it?
It's provincial for now, but we would like to see it go federal.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I don't know if anyone who's listening had a phone call recently, a survey in regards to how you would vote if there were an election in the near future. And which of the 4 parties that you would that you would vote for. I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting. I absolutely do see the value in independent, and in fact, the party system itself is one of the problems in our country for sure. Yeah. And I believe that if we were all independent representatives of your region without a tie to a party, that absolutely would be a better system for us. Just to totally dismantle the party system, and it's just really about the best representative for your region. Then it's not any ties to any other allegiance. I do agree with that 100%, especially on a provincial level. I think we should get closer to our communities in that way, and not represent a brand, represent your community. And we can definitely do that. How we change the system itself to get rid of the whole party system, that's going to be difficult.
Well, you know what? Speaking of that, like changing the system, someone made a comment the other day that I've just been toying with in my head. I guess they felt, why do we have one party in charge? Why do we have one leader? Why don't we have a panel, or even one leader from each party that, or more like referendums, or I guess like everyone would get their say. Like there has to be a more fair.
Well, we've completely lost the idea that the politician represents the people in their riding. And I mean, we saw it here just in my town where we're going through. They're trying to push amalgamation on our town and combine all the little tiny towns. And somebody actually spoke to so we had like like an interim counselor basically, because all of our council was fired last year or this year, and so this guy was appointed by the province just to oversee our town until the new council was put in. But there was a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and we're talking about this amalgamation, and somebody simply brought up the point to him, and they said, like, listen, like, your job is to be the representative for the people. You're not here to come and do whatever Rob wants to do. You know, the point of a politician is that they talk to the people, they talk to the locals, find out what the environment of the locals is and what they want. And so, you know, they were saying, like, nobody, barely anybody in this particular meeting that we were at wanted it, and they said, like, you know, you guys need to go to the town to talk to the people because you represent the people. And this Rob guy, who is the politician, his response was, I don't represent the people. And I was just like, wait a minute, when did that happen? Like, when did our politicians just represent themselves or whatever party it is that put them into place? Because my understanding of politics from a very young age was that that's the person that represents me. And I mean, we learned 2 weeks ago that nope, that seemingly, at least in PEI, at least in, you know, Southern Kings, that's not the case, because they're just going to do what they want to do.
No, at least they're honest, I guess.
I was very shocked at how like, he was just like, no, I'm not here to represent the people. I was like, pat on the back to you, sir, for being honest in what you said. Now, let's talk about this.
Let's talk about the word democracy.
Right?
You brought up, you were talking about referendums and stuff there. It started making me think. I used to do a lot of workshops and stuff, or just conversations with about different ideas of how we could have our democracy. And there is a form of democracy that is more participatory that could exist. And using technology today, we probably could have more referendums on more things that get full input on directly the things that affect us, instead of having these elections with mandates. Why not directly go to the populace more about specific big things? And we certainly could do that using technology today, especially on a smaller municipal scale. Why not? And there's a lot of models that have been tested and used in Europe and small places that we could lean on and build upon. But we don't even think about any of those things anymore, because we're told that this is our system and we can't change the system. Like Canadianism talks about, JT he ran an election on proportional representation 8 years or whatever it is, and when he got in, he didn't even do any of it. So there is a drive or a thirst for this change in our country, I think. But none of us even think there is another way possible, really, or we're not given the opportunity or even the debate from our leaders on those possibilities. So what do we do, really, you know?
I know, and what's really scary is that now, at least in Nova Scotia, there's one bill that they skipped first, second, third reading. They're just skipping the parliamentary process, and I think it was Bill 105, and that was a result of our arrest March of 2022. And the media, the way that they tried to, I don't know, legitimize this. They just said it's what they felt the people would have wanted.
They did the exact same thing here. It was the day after our protest outside of Heather Morrison's house. They passed the law under the cover of night with nobody paying attention, with the exact same rationale. We believe this is what the people would want because the people think the same way that we think, basically. I Unfortunately, that's kind of what COVID and the lockdowns brought. Like it brought us this, between Emergencies Act and just the emergencies measures, and where they're, bringing in all these powers to just pass things without having any real debate or anything like that. And now they're almost like they're stuck with it now. They're like, this is who we are. This is what we do. Oh, I've got a weird random bill that I want to pass. I'll just do it at midnight when no one's paying attention. 2 weeks ago when we had our meeting, it was announced like 12 hours before the meeting was starting, and it was on 1:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. Like they're all so skeevy, and it's like they learned it from the feds in the lockdowns, and that, if you don't get something passed through, just find a way to to use that notwithstanding clause or whatever, and they're all loving it now. They are all over it.
Yeah, I forget what rule this was not a new bill. This was a bill amendment, and they just said because everyone voted in favor of it, then they railroaded it through in 10 minutes. No discussion, no debate.
Yeah.
It's really disturbing. Like that. It's one thing, maybe that wasn't a big deal, but I mean, is this going to be a trend, and how far?
It's the little steps, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The steps to what? That's the question.
Tiptoe
Yeah.
tyranny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some days it's not a tiptoe, it's a big leap. That's
a great big leap.
big old leaps. So what going forward here now for you, Morgan, besides the court cases and trying to focus on some retribution, what are some goals for 2024 for you? Do you have any long-term, short-term goals?
I think accountability is big for me. So yeah, continuing to hold those accountable, and I'm really trying to empower people to join these, get involved either politically or with their town councils, like just to get out and have their say, because I don't know, I find a lot of us are not quite as outspoken maybe as those on the left, and unfortunately our voices, like I think that people who are more right leaning are just like, leave me alone, I don't, just
Yeah.
let me do my thing. They're not that loud, outspoken crowd, and so yeah, we're really trying to empower people who wouldn't normally want to get into political positions, to at least get them to consider it, because really at the end of the day, like even myself, I was coming up with all these excuses. It was like, come on, look at me, like Google me, who would vote for me? But yeah, but I don't know. I think all you have to do as a politician, your job is to represent the people.
In this representative democracy, yes, that's exactly what it is. It's in the version of our democracy. It's in the name of it. It's supposed to be a representation of your local, and whether there's a lot more that needs to change than just that, at least we can start with the representation itself. What, are you starved to death? Are you eating? Is this what's going on?
My roomie just warmed up my tea that I made probably 8 hours ago.
Nice.
Oh, good, thanks.
Instead of making new tea.
I'm so spoiled.
Good to have tea. Cheers. It's good.
Cheers.
Yeah, it's so a combination of activism and being involved in the politics itself, you see as a value. You don't see there should be one or the other. You obviously want to do it all. Is basically your view of going forward?
Oh my goodness, I had a brain fire. You're gonna have to reword that or say that again.
I'm
Explain
curious.
it to me like I took a donut.
You're an activist, so you like doing things outside of the political realm, but you're also somebody who sees value in using the politics itself as a platform. A lot of us feel the need to choose one or the other, that we're wasting time doing this or we're wasting time doing this. But
I'm just a workaholic.
I guess that's what it is. It's the ADD that
I
keeps you
know, and
going.
it's all so important. But yeah, I will say I have pulled back from public demonstrations quite a bit, and just because I don't like to waste my time. I have signed hundreds of petitions and written hundreds of politicians to no avail, as have many Canadians. And so,
Yep.
yeah, this is where I'm leaning more towards getting involved politically to try and make a difference.
And you're thinking about potentially being a candidate in the future as an independent candidate when is the next provincial election?
Yeah, I think it's set for June.
This
This
coming June.
summer.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. That could be very interesting to look at. So this is the Tim Houston guy, right? Who came in during the COVID era as
He
this-
was the guy who was supposed to be the real conservative, and he was going to fix all the liberal problems.
Yeah.
And then he did nothing.
Yeah,
Intriguing.
and I mean now we have a healthcare crisis and the homeless situation and housing
Ugh.
crisis in Nova Scotia. I mean, I don't want to say in Nova Scotia. It's Canada wide.
Yeah.
But certainly things have, yeah, it hasn't been any better. And we've gone through 3 premiers in over COVID, like since COVID began.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. A good opportunity. That means that the
That
culture is in
Yeah, they want the
turmoil.
change, right? They
Yeah.
aren't ready. They're not getting what they're looking for if it changes that much. So that means maybe it needs an independent.
Maybe. And a nice
Now
queen.
my big goal for 2023 was to have our healthcare professionals, our unvaccinated healthcare workers, return to work. Now we have not seen that here. I'm not sure what the situation is in PEI.
Same.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
In New Brunswick, they're back. I think most
They are.
provinces, they're back to
Most
work.
are, yeah.
Really? I didn't
don't-
even know that.
Yeah, except British Columbia, I guess PEI and Nova Scotia, I believe.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
And a lot of people don't realize, and I didn't know this until maybe a few months ago, that Quebec their unvaccinated healthcare workers were always permitted to continue.
Yeah,
working.
I just learned that recently, and it kind of pissed me off.
But why? They stood up for themselves.
Well, I mean, it's good for them. Like that's like I think it's fantastic for them, but it's that like
Yeah.
come on, guys, where were ours? Like I know here on the island we had like 3 who were willing to stand up and say no, and I'm like, that's all we got in the nursing field that's willing to say, like, the rest of you really just want to take this and not ask any questions. 3, that's it.
It's infuriating.
I think that explains why malpractice is, or at least was, the leading cause of death. We might not
Yep.
have the most inept people in those positions either.
No. It's not the leading cause of death now. It's unknown causes is the leading cause of death
Right,
at
yeah,
this
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be facetious about that, but it's just what else are we supposed to do besides giggle at the craziness? Oh yeah, and that should have been a big focus for all of us, Morgan, to try and reinstate or find some retribution for those people that got fired who were just trying to take care of us all, And it looks like some provinces do not want to follow suit and give those nurses their jobs anymore.
Right,
And-
or and some of the things that I had brought up as and I mean this definitely gets into probably violations of the Health Privacy Act, but I was thinking, what about asking citizens, if you had a choice, no healthcare worker or unvaccinated healthcare worker, you choose.
Yeah.
But we're not even afforded that. I mean, it's just die. We don't have enough people to send an ambulance, so good luck. Or we're sending firefighters to emergency rooms to resuscitate people. Like,
oh my
it's
god.
that bad.
Wow. That's scary. Knowing the economy the way it is and a healthcare crisis like that, and knowing how bad Nova Scotia is in other ways, it being like the leader in human traffic or sex trafficking in Canada right now, and you telling me a story that these pedophiles are being let go because there's not enough time in the Nova Scotia courtroom because they're taking care of supposed gas thefts.
Oh, it's crazy. And then I'm getting backlash because I shut down the mall meetups at the Halifax shopping center, and now we only meet at the Micmac Mall. When I felt I had no choice but to shut it down, as there were 2 different cases that we're aware of where people were being injected in the bathroom at the Halifax shopping center and drug out by these criminals and human traffickers. One woman was a mother who, yeah, she saw 2 people on either side of her daughter and kind of like helping her out of the washroom, and she asked what was going on, assuming maybe her daughter had like a spell or an episode, and they said, oh, she's just drunk, we're just gonna take her home. And she's like, that's my daughter, she just went in there sober. What are you doing? And they dropped her and ran away.
That is very frightening.
So like, I mean, we're getting to the point where you can't even maybe go to a public washroom alone. The other case, I think the person had just taken a long time in the washroom, and someone went to check in on them and saw that there were like 3 sets of feet in one stall, and then kicked the door down. And yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know, it's hard. You want to protect everyone, make sure you're meeting in a safe space, and
Yeah.
That's
take
terrifying.
a buddy with you to the bathroom, maybe.
Well, I don't even know
It's a
what to
mess.
say about that. I don't know. I guess I'm not
It's a
shocked
mess.
in the
That's all it
society.
But I heard another story, and I don't think this was in Nova Scotia, but yeah, a child they shaved the child's head when they went to the bathroom, injected them, threw them in a wheelchair to make it look like they're like this sick kid, and then wheeled them
Wow.
out. And oh, it's like it's crazy what they'll do to. Yeah, so I mean, but there's a lot of money in it, so.
People are gross, man. People are gross, and it's unfortunately our country and our politicians are more than content and happy to back them and benefit from them as well. So it's we just got to keep fighting it as we are, whether it's trying the independent route or hey, whatever, why not? We haven't tried anything else. So, like, there are other things that we've tried haven't worked. We brought thousands of people to the Capitol, that didn't work. We all these other things. So hey, why not? What's it gonna hurt?
Yeah, so I'm just encouraging people, if you know somebody who is involved in the community and seems to legitimately care about people over things or money, then give them a little nudge, because I think that they just feel like they're not the right fit, and they are. Like, that's what we need to change this country.
And that's a way more beautiful note to get close to the end of this interview with than the thoughts we were having just a couple minutes ago, Morgan. Thank you
Indeed.
for bringing us out of that.
I got a
Because
little
I
black
was
pill
racking
and a
my
little
brains.
little white pill at the end.
We got to focus on the white pills sometimes, that's for sure. And Morgan, you certainly, in my opinion, are a personal white pill. The actions that you take out there, the love that you have for your community and the people around you, and how much you show that through your own troubles and attacks that get from our system. I view a human like you as a massive white pill that you keep on doing what you do. So thank you for the examples that you set in Nova Scotia and in that crazy province that I'm going to have nightmares this evening over some of the conversations that we've had this evening, I think. But thank you for all that you do over there, for sure.
Well, and right back at the two of you, like, I'm just, anyone who can push through all of the attacks. I'm just so proud, because it's not easy. This spiritual battle is not always easy. And yeah, it's more mental than anything else, and so we really just need to focus on taking care of ourselves so that we can take care of everyone else.
Well
Beauty.
said and beautifully said. Because we got each other, we can keep on keeping on, really. And
Yep.
now that we found the friends, that's good. And thanks, Morgan, for this conversation. Where can everybody find you? I don't know. Did you have another final thought that I interrupted you there, Chris? About
No, I was gonna say that final thought.
Okay, good. Where can we all find you on the old onlines?
I'm on the internet. I don't know. I have a link tree. I think I'm on every single social media platform. Instagram's still a little sketchy. I was hacked, and so there are some people who think that I recently purchased a new Mercedes and a couple new homes with crypto. I actually don't own any crypto, and I'm still trying to get those accounts back. But
Well, I will tell everybody that Linktree/Morgan Mayhem is where you can find that. You can also find Morgan on Twitter at Queen of Diagolon. I believe you have another one that was reinstated, but you use Queen of Diagolon more often at this point. And
Yeah,
also, sorry? Okay.
yeah, I would say that I don't even use the other one, but yeah, Telegram is my least censored channel for sure. And I love that you can pin, that's where I pin all upcoming events and calls for action. Yeah, definitely my favorite platform.
T.me/Morgan_May is where you can find you on Telegram. And I encourage everybody, if you're not following this wonderful woman, do it on any of those platforms and give her some strength along the way, because I'm sure there's days that you need your friends as well as anybody else.
Well, nothing, none of the efforts are worth it if we don't have anyone to fight for. So
Indeed.
Beautifully said.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Morgan.
All right, me love you long time.
Thanks so much. We'll be talking real soon.
Have a good one.
We'll see you soon too, hopefully.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that'd be nice.
We'll take
It's
a trip
been too
over.
long.
Yeah.
It has.
Well, and we can come over now that Jeremy is.
Oh
off.
yeah, the rules have changed.
It was like a year. You guys got arrested like the night that you were supposed to come over. Do you remember that? And then
Yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
no, we
Yeah,
better,
that was
we
the
better
next
not
day.
come that night.
Yeah.
You guys got arrested. Oh, the memories.
Ah, the memories.
We're scheming. We'll try to go across Canada and stop into a few places. And
It's a good idea.
Beauty.
Yeah. Scheme away,
Good
my
stuff.
lovelies. Scheme away.
Have a lovely night. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you, Morgan.
yeah, thanks. Likewise.
Thank you, too.
Night.
Later. Night.
Well, Chris, that was painful for me in the beginning, but we got through.
Sorry, brother.
Sorry.
We're here now.
But
We got
whatever.
this.
We got it. We got it. We're back on track in a lovely little chat with Morgan, who I always
Yes.
love getting caught up with. And I don't know how you're feeling. We're not even set up for music or anything now. What do you?
Yeah,
do you
I
want
thought I could just do like an acoustic here in front of my mic would be fine. And yeah,
you're okay
I
with it,
appreciate. Yeah, I don't mind at all. Appreciate you covering that first hour. It was just we can talk all about piggy slaughters next week maybe.
Oh,
or
we
something.
definitely will get a good update with the piggy slaughters. I was looking forward to that today, but I understand you got stuff to do, and the show must go
Yeah.
on, as they say, Chris. When
That's
we
what
have
they
a
say.
time slot in place, and I'm willing and willing to ramble, I will certainly do it. And just in case, I did download a previous copy of the end song, but I'd rather you copy or whatever it's called. I'd rather you do it live. So I'm going to give you the audience and let you do your thing.
All right. We'll see what happens here. I have not. I thought I'd do a Christmas song tonight because it's December, and I haven't. Being that Christmas only happens once a year, I have not played this song since last year. Just give me 1 second, though. My pedal's not pedaling, and I kind of need it to pedal in order to pedal. You know what I'm saying? Come on, technology. Turn that off. I can still hear you, Harris. Harris is singing to me. There. No, come back. All right. There it is. My pedal's pedaling now. We're doing it live. All right. I remember back when I was young on one Christmas Eve. Mom and Dad tucked us in. We drifted off to sleep. Sometime through that snowy night, old Saint Nick did appear, bringing all the presents and lots of Christmas cheer. The morning came, poor old Dad, he just stayed in bed, face down in his pillow. And that's when Mommy said, Daddy's really sick about what Santa did this year. He didn't eat the milk and cookies, but he drank all Daddy's beer. The sister got a tambourine, played it pretty well. Me, I got a fire truck with a shiny silver bell. Little brother got a cap gun with a realistic sound, shooting all the bad guys to save our little towns. Poor old Dad couldn't move, we thought that he was dead, groaning like a grizzly and covering up his head. Daddy's really sick about what Santa did this year. He didn't eat the milk and cookies, but he drank all Daddy's beer. Mom finally took her chance to get Dad on his feet. She wanted him to help us out with the Christmas beast. As he tried to stuff the turkey, he turned white just like a ghost. Still sad about what Santa did last night, I suppose. Poor old Dad was feeling terrible about the man in red. How could Santa do this? Does he drink and drive his sled? But Daddy's really sick about what Santa did this year. He didn't eat the milk and cookies, but he drank all Daddy's beer. I know you might not all believe what Santa did this year. He didn't eat the milk and cookies, but he drank all Daddy's beer. Whew. All right. Little, what's his name? Dave Gunning. Love that tune. It's a fun little Christmas tune. I'm not a Christmas song guy, but it was a fun one. Thank you guys, for joining me. I'm just watching some comments over here. People asking about coins and stuff. The coins are back. We do have coins back. You can go to dagswag.ca, and there are coins and patches just for a short time. Go and get them before we close out here tonight. When there's nothing left but the fire in my chest and the air that fills my lungs, I'll hold my tears and trade my years for a glimpse at kingdom come. On the other side of misery, there's a world we long to see. The strife we share will take us there to relief and sovereignty. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. In our own towns, we're foreigners now. Our names are spat and cursed. The headlines smack of another attack, not the last and not the worst. Oh, my fathers, they look down on me. I wonder what they feel to see their noble sons driven down beneath the coward's heel. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. The road is dark, the way is lost. lost, my eyes they strain to see. I struggle forth to find a friend to light the way for me. Oh, brothers, can you hear my voice, or am I all alone? If there's no fire to guide my way, then I will start my own. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. Oh, by God, we'll have our home again. By God, we'll have our home. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. You're muted.
I know. Damn it, I thought I was going to catch it before you do. Oh boy. Thank you for playing the tunes, my friend. It just would not have been the same without them.
Indeedy. Always a good time. I'm
Always.
glad that I was able to still get in and hang out with everybody.
Me too, and we'll certainly talk about those piggies next week, no doubt.
Yes.
And I'm going to come down for a visit too soon. Lots to talk about, I'm sure, for life going forward. And
Yes, indeedy.
soon I'll even be closer, and we'll be able to do lots of fun stuff. But
Can't wait.
chats
be
for the
great.
future,
This
my
is
friend.
this is the thing that we keep telling you guys about, folks. You got to find the friends, and then you got to do stuff with those friends. You got to grow gardens and cows and all the things with the friends, because that's why we have the friends. They're not just there to talk to online; they're there to do stuff with. So go find your friends and then do stuff with them.
Exactly. And speaking of which, we're going to go do stuff with our family and friends now, and end it off with a little.
tub.
Oh, lucky you! Get the pig blood off of you. Just put no. I guess.
Heck
you
yeah.
and we'll end it with a song that reminds me of Jeremy and Morgan, and also perhaps the future for us all when the two join together.
Indeedy.
Thank you,
Night,
Chris
everybody.
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
Stephen Harris.
Burke.
Bye. See you on the next one. Bye.
Love, love and rage, soon be the day. They sang as they swayed in the pews, sang with love, love and rage. Soon be the day as they joined up to pray. I think of the power of song and the history it brings along. And I can almost see sights, some hot southern nights, through blood, rain, tears that shine. They unite and fight with love, love and rage. Soon be the day. They sang as they swayed in the pews, sang with love, love and rage. Soon be the day as they joined up to pray. I'm hearing some old singer sing a song that our tale-tellers bring. It has been sung to cracked jaws, swollen tongues in the land of the free, where they say freedom rings with love, love and rage. Soon be the day. They sang as they swayed in the pews, sang with love, love and rage. Soon be the day as they joined up to pray. now that I see where I am. I see race still determines the blessed from the damned, and the greatest of all historical shams is believing you cannot do something you can. So it's love, love and rage, soon be the day. They sang as they swayed in the pew, sang with love, love and rage, soon be the day as they joined up to pray. And it's love, love and rage, soon be the day, they sang as they swayed. Love, love and rage, soon be the day as they joined up to pray.